Hello everyone, I'm back. So today's video is our melon sow along. I just wanted to let you know that the majority of this video was actually filmed last Sunday. It was due for transmission on Thursday. But unfortunately, as I fell ill, it lay there unedited and unable to go out. What I did want to say was a really, really big, heartfelt thank you to you all. I have the lovely Mrs. W to look after me. And I don't know if you're familiar with the TV series Ma and Pa Larkin, but she is my Ma Larkin. And without her, I don't survive. But I don't believe I'd be standing here today, which is Sunday, following Sunday, without all of your lovely, kind comments, best wishes. Honestly, I'm bowled over by the amount of comments that came back after Mrs. W put that message out onto our community tab. You are all really stars, you really are. As you can probably hear, I am still a bit on the weak side. I don't have full energy levels yet. But up until Thursday of this week, I couldn't even stand up. So we're going in the right direction. I'd like to wish you all a very happy Easter and get those melon seeds out and let's do the melon grow along. You can see that these spring onions, they are now absolutely 100% ready for us to be enjoying. And I shall be doing that. The next succession sowing has already gone in. Actually, Mrs. W, you see what I say about when she leaves these seeds in the plugs? They suddenly come up. Better leave that there and see what it is.
Yes, I think so.
So you can see those onions, they are now well on their way. However, I don't actually need to touch those yet. If you're a regular follower of our channel, you'll know that we multi-sow our onions. These are some overwintering onions that were sowed back end of last August. And they've done diddly squat really for the last couple of months. They've just been in like suspended animation. But since the beginning of March, they've really put on some timber. Their harvest time is fast approaching, usually sometime in May. But when you multi-sow onions, this is why I always say it doesn't matter if you get more seeds in than you anticipated. You can see here there are 6 onions. Now for me the ideal number is 4 to 5. So what I can do is just twist that out. And I have a spring onion. So that's 2 to have today. And I can just come along at any time and do the same to the rest of these. I shan't do them all at once because then I can eat them fresh. And I think that one must have been mine because there was 6 in there and I did say we'd sow 6. Over there, however, I think that's a Mrs. W sowing.
Well, I'd like to know we have enough.
Quite right too, quite right too. And the other thing I want is some radish. And just like the beetroot or the onions that we were just looking at, I just look for the largest one, pull it out. On this plant it happens to be this one here. He is a big one, Mrs.
They're really
W.
nice radish, aren't they?
And then one of our lovely lettuces. We do need to get a shift on with these because we want to plant this up for Adam and Sasha when they move, don't we?
Yes, yeah.
Nice little harvest. In today's programme, it's a sow along. Hopefully you've got your melon seeds all at the ready. Here we go. Hello and a very warm welcome back to the New Dig Norfolk garden. Now, first thing we need to do is to fill our modules with compost. And with it still being March, we're right at the very end of March now. We're using the Rocket Grow. And it says to sow them into 3-inch pots. That's what it says. These are not quite 3-inch, but I think they're going to be fine. And the first variety we're going to sow is a variety called Emir. And it's an F1. Now, I don't have any tricks and tips to give you with these because I've never grown melons before. So I'm being led largely by what the seed packet says and what I've found out on the internet. So we're going to sow these 1/2 inch deep. And then we're going to sow 2 seeds per cell. And once they've germinated, we shall thin to the strongest seedling. Next is a variety called Blenheim Orange, and they don't provide a picture on this pack. Nice thing about these, Mrs. W, they're nice large seeds.
Yes. So hopefully we're not going to end up with a rogue melon grown somewhere.
No.
I think that's quite an old variety, isn't it? The Blenheim Orange.
And then the next melon is a cantaloupe variety called Hearts of Gold. And then lastly, the watermelon. I know a song about that, Mrs. W. Sugar baby love.
Oh, blimey.
That shows your age, doesn't it?
Yeah, I've just realised I've actually written on the ticket Sugar Baby Love, and it isn't, it's just Sugar Baby. But never mind, we know which we mean.
That's because, folks, I've been singing it. We've been prepping things to film this. Now, I really like the look of the watermelon. So I have had words with Mrs. W, and she hasn't answered me yet. She's not agreed. But I did say earlier that I wouldn't mind trying 2 in here and 2 in the greenhouse. Whether she'll let me try them in the greenhouse is another matter. Just to see how they actually grow differently. I'm really looking for a lovely, juicy watermelon.
Well, I know our grandson Charlie absolutely adores watermelon, so he would be very pleased if we managed to grow some of those.
Oh, yes.
So in the final 2 rows next to the watermelon, I'm going to sow a few sunflowers. These are called Evening Sun. They're quite tall plants by the sounds of it, so we shall see what they're like. And I'm going to put 2 seeds per cell again with those.
We've always had flowers and sunflowers and shrubs all dotted about the garden, haven't we?
Yes.
But we're going to do a few more this year because it's been working so well, hasn't it? Bringing the pollinators in. But not only pollinators, it also brings in the insects that actually feed off some of the pests. I spy some nasturtiums that you'll be sowing later, Mrs. W.
Yes, nasturtiums. I've already sown some salvia, which have germinated. And what's the other thing? Mantarinums, self-saved seed for marigolds and tagetes. They're now coming through. What else? I can't think.
The next job for us to do is to remove the Rudolph. They have had their day now. And it's time for them to become black gold. So, twist them out of the ground. Look how much broccoli has emerged for us. On this claret. So, Mrs. W, why I tidy up all the soil, ready for our next crop.
I'd better get harvesting.
You had better. You may have seen that when I harvested the Rudolph purple sprouting broccoli, I was getting as much of the root out as I could. Ordinarily, I have no problem leaving roots in there because most of the things that we grow are grown in plugs and they're fine to grow around those roots. However, carrots are going to follow these, so I don't really want large roots left in there. I've done a couple of furrows, and what we need to do next is just give those a watering. And I prefer doing it like this because then I know that the seed is going to be sitting in soil and water. Whereas if you just direct sow the seed first, you could splash the seed everywhere and it could be anywhere within this bed. This carrot bed will grow all of our carrots for the 2024 season. So I'm just getting the first one started. Once claret has finished its harvest, we'll have those out of there. And in that space there will be our autumn winter carrots. Once they have finished their harvest, these will come off. I don't need as tall a cloches as these, and slightly lower ones will go over to help protect them against the carrot fly. Remember when we sowed these last year? The seed has been coloured.
Oh yes, they're the green ones.
Yes.
That's really good, you can see where they are easier.
Very apt that they're green, as Norwich City playing green and yellow.
And these are the Norwich carrots.
So all I can say is just try your best to get them sown as thinly as possible. It's a skill that you learn over the years. And it's not always that easy. Not even for me. That's the seed sown. And actually it is starting to rain now, so
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm not even going to bother watering these from the top. If it goes dry, which I very much doubt it is, we're forecast quite wet, slightly colder conditions than we've seen over the last week. As and when we'll water them. Now, if you have sown them a bit too thickly, not to worry, you can thin them down so that you get the size carrot that you want. But do try and keep them covered at all times, because it is the smell of the foliage that attracts the carrot fly. Another good tip is to do the thinning in the evening. They're not so active then. Now, I do know that we are due a cold spell. It's not a cold spell as you know it, Frank, but for us it'll be somewhat cooler. Nighttime temperatures will probably go down to anywhere between 0 and +3 degrees. So what I am going to do is just cover these with fleece for now. It'll help trap in the soil's warmth. Doesn't need to be on there forever. And as we actually get into April and things are more regularly warmer, it's not going to pose such a problem. Now, the next thing I want to do is to sow our leeks. That's right at the very end of March. I generally sow them towards the end of March, beginning of April. We're going to be growing our old favourite Portobello. It's never let us down. All I'm going to do is just to broadcast the seed, as opposed to being precise. When you consider just how much leeks cost you from the grocers or your local shop. A packet of seeds, £1.50, even if they're £2. There's 500 seeds in here. And leeks are really, really easy to grow. And then last season, for the first time, we grew giant winter. They did live up to their name, didn't they, Mrs. W?
Yeah, lovely leeks. Really lovely leeks.
And only up until mid-March did we take the remaining ones out. They could have stayed there a bit longer, but I needed the plot to get the next crops in. But Portobello is normally ready towards the start of October, and it will continue harvesting up until December for us, because we've normally eaten it by December. But it will stand a bit longer. Whereas giant winter, that's ready around about November, and it does stand there easily until April if you left it. All that's left to do now is to cover all of these with a covering of vermiculite. Now, with the melons and sunflowers, they shall be stood into a water bath. But with the leeks, it'll take all day for the water to reach the top, because they're in much deeper pots. So we shall water those from the top. Now, of course, you could grow your leeks and sow them directly into the soil, especially now towards the end of March and into April. Your soil is warming up enough for those. If you're watching us for the first time, a very warm welcome to our channel. If you haven't seen our plans for the grow alongs and you still want to grow along with us, it is not too late to be sowing your melons. If you've just watched this and thought, do you know what, I really fancy having a go at that. Melons can be sown right up to mid-April, really. And with the melons, they're going to need some heat. So either a south-facing window that receives plenty of sunshine. For us, we've actually got the heat mats down there, so I shall just switch them on once more. I was thinking I was going to put them away, but no, I'm going to use those on these plants. But actually, even just on a table in the kitchen, the ambient temperature of your kitchen or wherever you're going to put them will be enough to get them to germinate. And I remember getting very wrong with Mrs. W in our younger days. It was actually a great place to actually put seeds. They don't need the lights to put them in the airing cupboard. Mrs. W was not pleased with me that day. however you go about doing it. Do have a great gardening week, and we shall see you back here in our no dig Norfolk garden on Thursday.